girl.
I have a feeling one of Dana's films is going to make it onto a list like this in a few years.
That's
we
for
love
sure.
it. Absolutely love it. Congratulations, young lady. Just living. You know when you are not going to ever be as cool as someone else is effortlessly cool? I will take that on. I will take ownership of that. But today, we're going to have a bit of fun, man.
Yeah, we are indeed, because we're going to shine the spotlight on women's strength, resilience, and unyielding spirit in cinema. Now, everything from inspiring tales of overcoming adversity to stories that celebrate diversity and ambition. We're all about highlighting the 21st century films that not only entertain, but also empower women around the globe.
Yeah. And of course, we haven't made the choice ourselves, being two grown-up men, here to give us some of her absolute favorites, and we trust her for being effortlessly cool as well. And this is what you can watch tomorrow on International Women's Day in our entertainment reporters world. Zoe Human, this is a tough thing to put you to task. I'm sorry.
2 weeks thinking about this and really dissecting films that I've loved and I've watched and I've felt really empowered by. So this is the list. Thank you.
Thank
You could only
Thank you
choose
for
5. Well done.
Thank you. I thought that was very difficult.
Yeah.
So I thought let's start off strong and let's talk about Hidden Figures.
Yeah.
The 2016 film with Taraji P. Henson, as well as Octavia Spencer and Janelle Monáe, who you might know her from music more than anything else. And it's really a celebration of women in STEM. So this is a true story, which I love. I love whenever you end a movie and the credits roll and you see the photos of the real women and you're like,
I know.
So yeah, it's a celebration of these mathematicians, the first at NASA to really lead the path for
crack the
women
code.
forward. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's a beautiful film, so poignant. And I think if you've watched TikTok and you're like, none of y'all want to drink from the pot that I drink from, that line, this is from this film. It's amazing. It was nominated at the Oscars. I think it got multiple nominations, and it had 94 nominations in its year of 2016 with 37 wins.
Yeah.
So
Incredible.
You know
First on the list.
That feeling of like, show them, like, It gave me so much of that. It's like,
But it
Bring
puts
it to
into
them.
perspective, because you think women are underserved now and you kind of feel like it's reached critical mass. It's always been like that. So throughout science's history, with most of these big discoveries, generally there's been a woman scientist involved who has got no recognition.
And I think the title speaks for itself. It's about hidden figures. So those people in the community whose stories you haven't told.
Yeah.
And how many of that do we have in South Africa?
Absolutely.
So that's top pick for me.
Nice.
Okay,
That's our
next up.
responsibility. I like
Next
that.
up, we have Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. We were talking about this, Graham. We love this movie. I personally am obsessed with this movie, and I think it's a beautiful story for mothers and daughters to watch together, even though my mom hated it. My mom did not enjoy this film. But I think it's one of those movies that might miss a generation, but for the next generation, there's such a different level of appreciation for it. Because it really does tell a story of Evelyn and her struggle with her daughter's relationship. And that relationship that her daughter experiences is completely different to the one that her and her mother ultimately experienced. And I think it's such a special story in how it shows that lineage and that change. Because I think we so often view our mothers and we think, oh, that is our caregiver, that is our provider, but there's so much more to women, and there's so much more we have to offer. And I think the beautiful part about this film is that at the end of the day, it's not physical strength that is her successor, it's her emotional vulnerability that gets her where she needs to be.
And that's a superpower. I absolutely love that, because there is a huge amount of baggage that we carry in those kinds of relationships, the model that we know. I love the way this film captures everything,
100%.
everywhere, all at once.
We love a multiverse story.
Yeah, no, absolutely amazing.
Okay.
Great choice.
Thank you. So if that story was one about emotional vulnerability, my next choice is one just completely based on physical excellence, and that is The Woman King.
Oh, wow. Of course this is going to be our
Viola Davis deserves to
woman.
be in this category regardless. You can't talk top 5 women
100%.
empowerment and not think Viola Davis. And I think a special nod to this film because it is 90% of the crew is South African. So we love a South African story. And this is also inspired by true events. And the most important part about this story for me, or the telling of the story, is the fact that it's directed by a woman, it's written by a woman, and it stars women. So all this list, this entire list so far, and any story you look at in terms of women empowerment, it's so difficult to find stories that are actually written and directed by women.
Walking the walk as
you
opposed
look
to
at
just
Greta Gerwig, and she does that very well with Lady Bird and Barbie, but it's so difficult to find. I mean, you think of her, and then who else?
It's the pink tax.
I loved what this film did during its era because, I mean, it was like 3 years ago when it came out, but what it was doing was echoing what
Actually,
South Africans...
7 years.
7 years?
ago.
Oh, whoa.
Wow.
7, 8 years.
Okay, well, then maybe I
But
changed
listen,
my
4 of
sentiment.
those we crossed out, eh?
But currently, they're shooting Woman King #2 right here in South Africa right now. So let's get ready for that.
It's opened the door for celebrating South Africans as well, which is something I
100%.
think is incredible.
Okay, next up, Rule Breakers. Now, if you haven't heard of this film, for good reason, it's only releasing today.
I've heard... Is this with the robot?
Yes, with the robot,
Yeah,
the Afghan dreamers.
Yeah,
This
so
is
cool.
also another true story about the Afghan dreamers, a group of young women who achieved international acclaim for their robotics work. The lead, Roya, so real life person, she won the 2013 Time 100 Best People of the Year for her work. She's received death threats from the Taliban because of the power of her work in getting women into robotics and into computers, especially in Afghanistan. So it really is just such a powerful work, and I can't wait to see. Can't wait to see what happens next.
The power of representation, we talk about how vital it is within other areas of media, but within the creative space, you need to see that. A young girl needs to connect that dot. And this is one of the most powerful ways to do that. I love it.
100%. So you can watch that at New Metro this weekend.
Yay.
And then lastly, we have one that I think it's the oldest of these, and I think in terms of inclusivity and racial inclusivity, it still has a long way to go, but I think it was so ahead of its time when it came out, and that is Legally Blonde.
Oh, this is a classic.
Okay, so to everyone who's rolling their eyes right now, because I've watched the film and I love it, and when you talk about walking the walk, she literally does. She has created a path within Hollywood for other women to
100%.
follow. I'm talking about, obviously, Reese Witherspoon, but this film kind of flies under the radar, but there's some powerful gravitas there.
Even today, it still has so much relevancy. If
No,
you actually look back on it,
100%.
it's actually
We have
powerful.
an up sound that we could have a look at that I really think is amazing.
Oh, get us in the feels. Bring it on.
Let's have a look.
Oh, we'll get that now. Hey, isn't the world just like that? Find a strong woman and silence her. No, we'll get into those words
She's really speaking
now.
about the importance of women in spaces, women leading the stories and really telling stories about women. And Legally Blonde, what was amazing about it at its time was that it wasn't a story that said, okay, I need to change and adapt in order to prove the man. That's what she wanted to do, but ultimately it was a decision she made for herself. And it wasn't something she did by changing who she was as a person, by digressing from her core beliefs necessarily, but it's something that what made her stupid in the eyes of many was ultimately what achieved her success in
Was
law.
a superpower.
And
I
think
love that.
It's amazing.
That is beautiful.
So can I add to this just a bit of a personal perspective, because you've got a lot of this going on within you. Where does that come from you? Is it from an example? Is it from where everyone is at the moment? Is it a moment in time? Where does your source of empowerment come from? Because clearly there's a fire burning at the moment. You must feel that. Where does that come from?
Listen, I've been involved in women empowerment for years, and I think it was something that it wasn't necessarily something that I chose, but something that chose me. And sometimes it's just because you exist as a woman, but sometimes it's because you choose to be bold. And the greatest thing you could do for other women is choose to authentically be yourself and be the version of yourself that stands true. And then it'll encourage other people to
Give
do
them
the same.
license. Yeah. Thank you.
Beautiful stuff. Yes,
you.
please. That's enough to celebrate it. We're celebrating all women right here on your Feel Good Breakfast Show. Not just Zoe Ewan, but all the others that are coming through. But I got to say thank you. Incredible list. Something that can empower you this weekend. So get involved in it. And I got to say thank you. What a top 5 indeed. We're going to carry on with a lot of magic coming right here on your Feel Good Breakfast Show. We've got Mani Badu performing, which is ahead of that new album that has dropped today. And then the abs are coming out for Cape Epic, yes, as promised.
He's literally giving you his abs on the other side of this.
No!
Do you still have abs?
Wait till
I
later.
don't believe that he still has abs.
I do. I do.